Hey YouTube, it's Marquita, and today I'm here to bring you guys the highly requested weight loss video. For those of you who don't know, I actually lost a considerable amount of weight recently, and I posted a before and after picture of myself on Facebook, and lots of you wanted to know what are my strategies and my tips for losing weight and how I was able to get to this point. So if you're interested in learning about my journey to weight loss, stay tuned. As I mentioned before, I lost a considerable amount of weight over the past 2 years. After I had Riley, I started at 230 pounds. When I was at the end of my pregnancy, I was probably closer to 250, probably 260. My midwives had stopped weighing me because I had started getting really upset about the amount of weight that I had put on. I started my pregnancy heavy because of the fertility medications, poor eating habits, and some other medications that I was on that were just kind of holding in the weight. And so that on top of starting a pregnancy, I was already overweight, and then I started a pregnancy. My weight just ballooned. And so at the end of my pregnancy, I was around 230 pounds, and now I am currently at 160 pounds. That weight fluctuates from day to day, but I don't stress about it because I'm really happy about the place that I'm at right now in my life. So what I've done is I've given you guys 5 overall categories with lots of little steps in between to kind of help guide you on your own weight loss journey. Getting started. So the first thing about getting started is you just have to do it. It's so easy to just I'll start next week, or I'll start at the beginning of the new year. The best thing to do is to set a date. That's the reason why New Year's resolutions are so popular. Studies have shown that if you set a date and you stick to that date and execute your goal on that date, that you will be more successful than just starting out of the blue. Sometimes starting out of the blue works for some people, but if that's not you, then put a date on your calendar and say, this is the date that I'm going to start making some healthy changes in my life. The biggest thing to do is to set realistic goals. When I started losing weight, I didn't decide that I was going to lose 50 pounds or 100 pounds. I just said that I wanted to get healthy. I had a new baby and I wanted to be able to run and play with her and also feel really good about myself, because that plays a huge part into the mommy wars that we all have to battle with every day about, well, I just had my baby and I lost all my weight and look at me, I don't have a stomach, to those of us who were over here I just had my baby and I feel terrible about myself. And so some people are in the middle, some people are more extreme than that, but for me, I felt like I needed to feel good about my body, and so I wanted to make some healthy changes. The first biggest thing for me, and it could be for a lot of other people out there, is cutting out sodas and juice. I started making this change when I was pregnant because, frankly, my body didn't want anything else other than water. And so now I drink primarily water, and sometimes I have an occasional juice. Sometimes I have soda only because I really like root beer, but I've noticed that when I drink soda that my body really does not tolerate it very well. For those of you who are trying to cut back on soda or juice, you can easily substitute a sparkling water and a small amount of juice. This will give you the taste of the juice, but you'll be getting the water without all of the extra calories and sugar. Now let's talk about food. Food is such a heavy loaded topic. In our culture, food is the way that we express love. Food is the way that we, when we're happy, we eat. When we're sad, we eat. And so it's really hard to get to all the issues with your food. If you happen to have really deep-seated issues with food, it might be helpful for you to talk with someone that can help get to the bottom of the emotional component that comes along with food before trying to start a diet regimen or changing the way that you eat. The biggest thing that's helpful for me is meal planning. Meal planning is really important, especially when you're trying to make healthy changes, because it helps set you up for success. If you sit down every month at the beginning of the month or at the beginning of the week and decide, this is what I'm going to eat for the week. I'm going to plan breakfast, I'm going to plan lunch, I'm going to plan dinner, and all my snacks in between, you are less likely to want to stray and eat things that aren't good for you or stop at fast food. It just, like I said, it sets you up for success. Meal planning doesn't have to be complicated. You can do something as simple as going on Pinterest and finding recipes that are low calorie, low fat, finding Weight Watcher recipes, or just finding things that are a little bit more healthy. Make sure that you're eating breakfast. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Skipping breakfast does not allow for your body to get your metabolism started, and your body is in a starvation mode all night. So then if you're not eating breakfast, then that starvation mode continues throughout the day. You don't have to eat a huge breakfast. Some fruit, a smoothie, some egg whites, whatever works for you, just eat breakfast. Make sure that you have a variety of foods. I see a lot of people that are getting started on like their weight loss journeys, and then they're eating the same food every single day. Roasted chicken, broiled chicken, broccoli, baked chicken, broccoli, asparagus, broccoli. Make sure you have a variety of foods, because if you don't have variety, it's just gonna get old and boring and you're gonna wanna give up. You don't have to give up your favorite foods. You just have to find different ways to cook them that are more healthy. Make sure that you're eating a lot of healthy fats. So there are such things as healthy fats, such as like olives, salmon, walnuts, avocados. Those things are all good for you, and healthy fats are not bad. They're your friends. So eat more of those. I always say increase your protein. Make sure that it's lean protein. Lean protein is really important. It's like in turkey. Eating a turkey sandwich or having more turkey in general can help you feel more full, and protein kind of just fuels your body. Have a rainbow of colors on your plate. So bell peppers and red peppers and broccoli and asparagus. They're greens, they're reds, the yellows. Make sure that when you look at your plate that it's a variety of different colors. That way that you know that you're getting things from different food groups. Start substituting your condiments. So substituting things like ranch dressing. There's all kinds of recipes on Pinterest for how to make ranch dressing out of avocado and some other really healthy substitute. But things that are really high in fat, like mayonnaise, you can replace those things with things that are more healthy, and you don't have to sacrifice taste. Stay away from the processed foods. That means your Cheetos, your things that come in a can, things that you can microwave really quickly, like dinners. If you notice, a lot of the diet foods come in these packaged frozen dinners. If you look at the back at the ingredients and the nutrition facts, you'll see that the levels of sugar and sodium are so high. Eating fresh, real foods are going to be the best way to ensure your successful weight loss and to be able to keep it off. I never called this a diet for me. This was a lifestyle change. It needed to be something that I could consistently stay with, and that it wasn't like if I had a slip up that it was like the end of the world, because I wasn't dieting. I was changing my entire way of eating. Some other things to do is to stay away from those diet foods, diet soda, or low trans fat. Looking at your nutrition labels and seeing, well, how much sugar content is in this? How much fat is in this? What is the serving size? Are more important things than leaning towards diet foods. Those diet foods sometimes contain some pretty scary chemicals that I won't get into. You can do your own research. But diet food does not always mean that it's good for you. So stay away from diet foods. Try to have real foods that haven't been processed a whole lot. Portion control. Portion control for me is right up there with drinking lots of water. The first thing that I do when I have a meal, especially if I'm eating out, I cut that meal in half and I put the other half to the side for later. I don't allow for a whole big portion of food to be on my plate. When you go out to eat, they give you enough for like a whole family of people on one plate, and so I cut that down. You know, this should be about the amount of meat that you're eating. You should have more vegetables and other things on your plate than you're eating meat and you know, non-healthy things that aren't fuel for your body. And so portion control is really important. For me, at the beginning, I was even measuring it out. Like if I had noodles, I have 1 cup of noodles. I get the measuring cup, I put the noodles in the cup, I dump the noodles into the bowl, I take my sauce and I figure out how much sauce was a serving and how many calories that was, and then I dump it into the bowl. That for me was portion control, and now I can eyeball things and say, whoa, that's a whole lot more than a portion, and I need to take some of that away. Drink lots of water. Chug a lug. Drinking lots of water all depends on your body size. I know that it's like the recommendation is to drink 8 to 10 glasses of water a day. Depending on your weight, you may need more water, you may need less water. I would check with your doctor before you start any extreme water challenges. I know I see them all over the place and people usually are fine, but I have heard of a scary incident or two where people have drowned from drinking too much water. So the key is to drink water and to drink it over a slow interval of time. Gulping a whole bunch of water at one time, all your body's going to do is just recognize that it doesn't need it, and it's going to flush it out of your urinary system, and it's going to be a waste. Like I drank all of that water and it wasn't actually replenishing my cells and it wasn't fueling my body. And then ration your junk food. You do not have to just, it's not all or nothing. You don't have to say, well, I'm on this diet or I'm changing my eating habits, so no more junk food. I can tell you, I have a real weak spot for Oreo double stuffed vanilla cookies. It is also now Girl Scout cookie season. I have a very weak spot for Samoas. That doesn't mean that I'm just like, well, I changed the way that I'm eating, so I'm never going to eat another Samoa. That is a miserable way to live. Ration out your junk food. Look at the back and say, well, the Girl Scout cookie box says that 2 Samoas is X amount of calories, so I'm going to have 2 cookies because that's what it says a portion is. Or I'm going to have, you know, I think the portion for Cheetos is like 13 Cheetos, which seem like a whole lot to me. So even though processed foods are not the best for you and junk food is not the best for you, don't deprive yourself of having things that you want to have. That leads me to exercise. Dreaded exercise. Nobody likes to do it. I won't say nobody. There are some people, they're gym rats. They absolutely love it. The majority of us don't. I don't really care for it, but the important thing is to find something that you do love to do. I found out that I absolutely love Zumba. I found that out a couple years ago and it just continues to work with me. When I first was starting on my weight loss, I was like, I'm not gonna come at this like, bam, I'm not about to start insanity. No, that's insane. I'm gonna do Michael Jackson's Dance Experience on my Xbox, or I'm gonna walk around the block before dinner or after dinner with my family. I made these really small steps and then I started working my way up to more rigorous exercise, because all you're gonna do is like jolt your body and your body's gonna be like, what in the world's going on? We weren't doing anything yesterday and now we're doing Shaun T's hip hop abs like for 45 minutes and now I'm going into crisis mode. We don't want to send our bodies into crisis mode because that doesn't help us effectively lose weight. So finding something that you like to do and then keeping variety, change it up. Yes, you may be on the 6-week insanity plan. If you're done with that, then move on to like 6 weeks of hip hop abs or like 6 weeks of a cardio kickboxing class. Like, change it up. The whole thing about this is like variety in food, variety in exercise. You want variety because you want it to last. When I really set my mind to this, I decided that I was not gonna do that like, well, I'm gonna do this for just a little bit. I'm gonna impose these really strict guidelines on myself and then I'm gonna just fall off the wagon. I'm gonna feel like crap. So be gentle with yourself. And just don't give up. Keep trying. Do something. Even if it's just walking the mall with your kiddo or, you know, walking around the block or doing something, being active. Getting a pedometer and seeing how many steps you're taking in a day is a really good idea. And then that leads me to my last step, is support. Many of you had made lots of comments and sent videos and said that you had noticed that I had been losing weight, and I thought that that was amazing. Social media can be such an amazing resource for people in every facet of life, and weight loss is no different. Now, I will caution you, Don't flood your friends' news feeds with all the pictures of your plates. And I can assure you that you can go to the gym without checking in and taking a picture. There are some people that I follow on Facebook that do that. It can be annoying. So you want your social media to be supportive and not that people are rolling their eyes at you every time you're posting something. So a really easy way to do that is to get an Instagram. Make your Instagram dedicated to your weight loss journey or changing your eating habits, and then have friends that are also doing the same thing. Get support. For me, when I first started, I started at Weight Watchers. And though I'm no Jennifer Hudson, I did not lose a whole person. It was helpful for me. I was able to go to a group of people who understood the challenges of eating different, eating healthy. They were calling it a diet. And there were some things about Weight Watchers that I really didn't like. I didn't like that I had to get on the scale every week and feel really anxious. And I didn't like that, a lot of their food was diet food that was full of sugar and full of sodium. And I didn't like that people were sitting there kind of giving themselves false, I don't know what the word is. There would be people in the meeting talking about that they put sea salt on some lettuce and shook it up, and it was more amazing than any piece of cake that they had ever had. And for me, that wasn't realistic. And I said, you know what? I think that I can do this at home and I can pump myself up on my own and make some really good decisions. But for some people, Weight Watchers really works for them. And if that's what works, then do that. Whether it's Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig, going to support groups, starting a support group at your job, and having people that you can connect with and talk with. That was the thing that I loved about Weight Watchers, was sitting down and talking to other women and men that were trying to lose weight and trying to get healthy, and not feeling overwhelmed. I almost forgot some really important tips. Make sure that you're getting enough sleep. Reduce your stress with things like yoga. Stay off the scale. It isn't your friend. No more fad diets like cutting out all the carbs or only eating protein or meat. Stop calling yourself names like fat. Forget the 7 p.m. rule. If you're hungry after dinner, have a protein snack. Be gentle with yourself and love the skin you're in. Also, for those of you who are currently pregnant and thinking about losing weight after baby, one of the added bonuses for me was breastfeeding. While it doesn't work for every mom, breastfeeding helped me with an additional 500 calories. Your body burns 500 calories making breast milk. And so for me, sometimes I rationed it as saying, well, I have an extra 500 calories so I can eat these 2 cookies. And sometimes it would be like, I skipped the gym today, and so luckily I'm breastfeeding because my body just burned 500 calories making breast milk. While that is not the case for a whole lot of women, there are women that breastfeed and they don't lose the weight, and they hear all the stories of women who lost weight when they breastfed. I think with a combination of some of the things that I did with eating healthy and meal planning and having snacks available, that it was really helpful for me to be able to breastfeed and have those extra 500 calories to help me in my journey. So I hope that was helpful. It was a little rambly. I apologize for that. It's so hard to try to smash in 2 years worth of weight loss with you guys and try to give you some tips and suggestions. But I hope that it was really helpful. I will be coming here with a video more about losing weight and what that means for me and some of the surgeries that I'm going to have coming up. But I wanted to make sure to come and share this with you guys. I hope that it was helpful. Please feel free to send me a message if you have any questions, or put them in the comments section below. As usual, you can find us at facebook.com/momandmommy, and you can send me a message there, and I'm more than happy to answer your questions. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.